Hi, I'm Lars Clavin, and I created Wartable. And I think a lot of people have recently learned about Wartable, and I've heard it discussed on podcasts, etc. So I thought it might be fun to just take a minute to tell the story or my story and the background about how Wartable came to be. I'm a software engineer, and I've been playing, all kinds of games since I was a kid, including like Dungeons and Dragons and video games, etc. And around 8 years ago, my second daughter was born, and I decided to declare video game bankruptcy. Like, I just didn't have enough time. I think I was still playing World of Warcraft, and I just was like, okay, I don't have time for this. So I was looking for other ways to kind of scratch that nerd itch, and I walked into a game store, kind of wanting to ask them about if they had Dungeons and Dragons games going on, and it turned out they were hosting a War Machine tournament. So that was kind of how I learned about War Machine. I got super into it, and I so I ended up picking up the two-player starter box from Mark II, and creating this whole Protectorate army. It turns out I actually don't have enough time to really be good at War Machine, so I sometimes like to joke that my relationship to War Machine is like other people's relationship to football. Like, I love to listen to the podcasts and geek out about who's the best caster or whatever, but I actually don't get a chance to play that often. But anyway, around 4 years ago, I was changing jobs and I had some time off, and I ended up creating this Guild Ball game. So this is kind of my first attempt to bring war games online. So this is kind of like the very beginnings of what became Wartable. So it has a lot of like yeah, just things about how to bring this game on. I ended up just not really doing anything with this. I think I the approach I took here, I realized in the end that I fundamentally could not do Zoom, and I decided that that was a deal breaker. So anyway, I was starting a new job and busy, so I just kind of set it aside. Um, and then so this was in 2016. So then fast forward to early 2018, and a friend of mine came over on Christmas break. He was in town. We played some War Machine on my dining room table, and then when he went home, we wanted to continue playing, but he wasn't able to get Vassal running on his computer. So January 9th, 2018, this I started building Wartable in its current incarnation. And this is kind of what it looked like at the beginning. So in the original version, you had to add all the models, type in the name or etc. So this was kind of it. And we used this to play War Machine for a while, and that was fun. And I thought, this is great. I'd love to improve this and kind of share it with people. But I wasn't really sure how to do that. With being respectful of IP, etc. So what I ended up deciding to do was partner with Gunmeister Games. I love the game Judgment, and Andrew from Gunmeister Games was really open up to me using their art and rules in Wartable. So I ended up doing this really great integration with Judgment. If you've ever played Judgment on Wartable, a lot of the rules are built in, a lot of the attack process, the combat modifiers, the setup process, drafting, etc. So this is kind of, I spent around 18 months building all this Judgment support into Wartable. And then obviously, but there wasn't really a lot of people playing it. I think even the Judgment community was still using Vassal at this time. But then obviously, when COVID came around, there was a lot more interest, and the Judgment community started playing a lot on Wartable. And then in March, Jaden from Line of Sight reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've been playing Judgment on Wartable. Is there any, do you have any interest in supporting War Machine and Hordes?" So yeah. So anyway, this is kind of the beginning of War Machine um, on Wartable, and so I partnered with Line of Sight crew, especially Jaden and Brett, to bring to life the War Machine support that we have now, and just do things like adding the model libraries, the terrain setup, creating default maps, all those kinds of things. The Line of Sight guys and Cutter from Blightbringers has been really, really awesome, and kind of partnering with me to make this War Machine work possible, processing all the feedback, etc. So just to kind of give a picture of what the usage of Wartable has looked like over time, this is probably just me testing, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, when COVID came around, the Judgment community started playing. And then this is the day when we launched the War Machine and Horde support. So, just to kind of show you where we're at now, it looks like, we have around a couple hundred people playing each day, which is really fantastic. I'm so thankful that people have been enjoying it and kind of getting some use out of it. And then I just also wanted to show, I just really love the international reach of War Machine. This is kind of a chart of around the world for June, who came to or where people are coming from. So you can see, all people are coming from all around the world to come together and play War Machine. Last thing I wanted to just highlight is I have a Patreon site that has been really helpful for me with growing Wartable. Obviously, there's hosting costs, which are a part of running a website, and the patrons have grown. I think in February this year, I think I had one or two patrons. So having grown up to 66 has been fantastic. I've really appreciated how the community has come together to support Wartable. And obviously, so this has been really helpful for covering the hosting costs. And obviously, it also helps me when I'm justifying spending my time on this. Obviously having people playing it and enjoying it is a huge motivator for me, but it also really helps when people are willing to support it financially as well. All right. Well, thanks again. I really am so happy and that the community has been enjoying Wartable. I hope if you haven't, I hope you give it a try. If you have, thanks so much for the words of encouragement, and I also really appreciate your constructive criticism. And yeah, I hope you try it out and really enjoy playing online. Thanks.